Welcome to another broadcast of The Competitive Edge. Today, we're going to be having a pretty interesting conversation. We will be talking about habits. Perhaps we will go into habits in personal branding and some aspect of self actualization. But of course, we're going to be looking at habits in terms of how it relates to you personally and how it can help the organization to achieve its business objective. Today, with me in studio, I have two dynamic personalities. I have Clement Frank, and Clement Frank is an economist by profession, but he's also a John Maxwell specialist. And I have Paul Whitehouse. Paul Whitehouse, he is a financial specialist, and he's the person that really helps you to access capital to grow and scale your business. In the event that you're wondering who I am, I like to say I wear many hats. I'm the author of several books, including Master Your Sales Communication Process. And if you're in business and you want to be successful, you really need to take the time to understand the concepts that is documented in this book. Paul, without further delay, I want to welcome you to this platform. And I want to ask you to just briefly tell us about yourself just before we talk a bit about some of your financial instruments.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Good morning, everybody. Uh, Located in Northeast Ohio, basically in between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and one of two owners of Patriot Business Finance Consultants. The other owner is a best friend since you're probably 19 years old, so it's easy working with a best friend. And what we do is we provide almost every range of financial services available for businesses. Uh, Least expensive first, or least expensive money first. Capital for equipment financing, real estate financing. If your cash flow is slow, we can help you. There's programs that help with that. And then raising capital for large projects or, you know, growth capital. So there's a lot to talk about in there. I mean, that touches the major areas, and each of those subjects, you can dive deep into that. But we do that through a network of lenders. We charge points on some of those deals. Most of the time, the lenders pay us and the client does not pay us. So when we work with you, and we do want to work with you, our goal is to help you get the best outcome all of the time. Even if it involves removing ourselves, we have enough deal flow that we're willing to step aside if there's a better way to do it. And what that ends up resulting in is friendships, long-term business relationships. And, that's our goal. We do not want a transaction. We want a relationship with you.
All right, thanks for that share,
Yep.
Paul. Frank, um, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Hi, good morning, Gary. Good morning to listeners. I guess you guys all start with a brilliant, bright day today. It's a beautiful day. What I'm more interested in is to help you to be the best leader. Um, there's a quote that says, ultimately, leadership is not about glorious crowning acts. It's about keeping your team focused on a goal and motivated to do their best to achieve it, especially when the stakes are high and the consequences really matter. It is about laying the groundwork for others' success and then standing back and let them shine. In this program, we teach you about leadership and how to be the best leader. Greatest, that's up to you. But to be an excellent leader. So today we'll look
Uh,
into that and the habits of leadership. Thanks, Gary.
All right, thanks for that share, Frank. And I really love that you would have mentioned that, you really want to help people to understand how to lead and to become the best version of themselves. I think it is an admirable task for the simple reason that we have seen today that enough time, talent, and resources perhaps is not committed to helping the human resources to nurture the right habits to build the strongest of brand, to really help them to self-actualize. And I say this against the backdrop today we have seen that artificial intelligence is quickly becoming more intelligent than the human resources. So today we're going to have some soft talks around that and hopefully give emphasis on why we do what we do is to really give the human race a fighting chance to understand the importance of adopting the right habits and using the right habits to build a personal brand that can really help them to self actualize and not only coexist, but truly be the dominant being among artificial intelligence. With that being said, um, I want to begin today's conversation by looking at a concept that we have developed quite some time ago, because we are looking at how does personal branding translate into organization effectiveness. And what we have seen is that when you have a strong personal brand, meaning that the individual have a strong sense of self, has a strong sense of self, a strong sense of purpose, and a strong sense of direction, and they are in a position of leadership within the organization, because they have mastered healthy habits around self already, it really helps that organization to stand out. It really helps the organization to go forward. The reverse of that, as I would keep saying, people, the organization is built on people, and people cannot rise beyond their sense of self. The organization in itself, it cannot rise above how the leaders within the organization itself sees itself. So I think having the right habits is important. And as I go into today's program, I will talk about some of those habits. And I'm just going to leave a clue on one of them. You want to train your mind to become a subject matter expert. That's one of the things that you want to do. You want to build healthy habits around becoming a subject matter expert. It could be that you want to be a subject matter in human resource management or marketing or branding or financial leadership, whatever it is. As you focus on habits and your personal branding, one of the first things for you to really zero in is how to become a subject matter expert. I'll go deeper into that as I expand on some of my talking points for today. But I want to now open up to Paul. Paul, can you talk to us about some more about the financial instruments? And can you give us a brief overview of what it takes to, what habits is essential to be successful in business and in the financial world? Paul, to you, Paul. I'm
Okay.
coming to you just now, Frank.
Okay. Well, I guess let's just talk about a very simple, easy one. Equipment financing. We talk about that a lot, but I like to drive that home because every business doesn't need real estate. You can lease a place, but every business does need equipment, except my business. I just need computers, pens, and pads of paper. So there's a few limited businesses, but I'm going to say 99.8% of businesses need equipment. What type of equipment? What type of business do you own? You own a trucking company, then you know what you need. Construction company, you need heavy equipment, dump trucks, If you own a dry cleaners, you need dry cleaning equipment. Restaurant equipment. I mean, I'm not going to say any more because it's obvious. Businesses need equipment to do the job. So, how do you get the equipment? You could pay cash if you have it, but if you do have it, why would you spend it? You keep it. Cash is king. I take that back. Jesus is king. Cash is useful. Cash is necessary for your business. It makes it makes your business look strong. You're bound if you spend all your cash on equipment and you're cash poor, then what do you think your business looks like when you're looking for financing? It looks weak. So your balance sheet needs to have assets. Assets are cash in order for your business to look strong. Now, so keep the cash is what I'm saying. Cash is for emergencies and opportunities and the health of your business. Keep the cash. Next option, bank financing. That works, but it's not as good as equipment leasing. But let's talk about bank financing. You go to the bank financing as compared to equipment leasing, the down payment is going to be more. The banks, if you got great credit and you've been with them for 20 years, they still want 15, 20, 25% down to finance that piece of equipment for you. As compared to equipment leasing, if you have time in business, more than 3 years, good to excellent personal credit and business credit, and your business is making the money to repay the new debt, then money down to get an equipment lease going, first payment with last payment, maybe like 2 or 3 payments in advance. Definitely one. You always got to put one payment in advance, but it's up to the leasing company, whatever they want. That depends on the circumstances of the business. But typically, what a term sheet is going to say for an existing business with good to excellent personal credit, making money to repay the debt, term sheet is going to say 2 payments in advance, 5-year term to pay it off. At the end of the 5 years, in order to take ownership of that equipment and own it, because leasing is another way to get ownership of that equipment. You don't have to turn it back in and not own it. 2 types of leases. One that provides for ownership of the equipment and another one that just provides for use of it because there's things that you don't want to own. You just want to use. Remember, profit comes from use of equipment, not ownership. Ownership's good, but let's talk about that just real quick. If you're leasing 100 computers for your group, computers go out of date. You don't want to own the same computer 5 years from now. You just don't want to, and you know that. But if you're leasing a semi truck or a bulldozer or a dump truck or a heavy piece of equipment that you've bolted down to your factory floor, that's something you want to own because it's going to last you for 20 or 30 years. So those are 2 types of leases. Um, yeah, so bank financing, more money down. And if you are, banks are looking for 680 and above, 650 and above. If you're below that, they're just going to have to say, we can't help you. Good luck. Um, Whereas if you work with Patriot Business Finance Consultants, we have lenders who are good with that. 600 credit scores and up, even 600 credit scores and below. So if you're below 600, don't hesitate to call us. Let us solve the problem. Let us tell you that it's not going to work before before you make up your mind that it's not going to work. If you've been declined by your bank and you don't think it's possible, well, it's still possible. Let me tell you what makes it possible. It money down. The money down doesn't come to me. I sure wish it did. I'd be on vacation more than once a year if that was the case. But it's the lenders who get the money down. Now you ask why? Well, I mean, if there's if there's a difficult credit scenario, if that lender's going to put out $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, $4 million, they need to be secure. And their security is your skin in the game. You're not going to walk away from a deal if you've put 15% down. or 30% down. And that 15 or 30% down, that depends on the whole scenario. The term sheet will give us those details after we get you approved. But there's the key thing. You're approved. You are approved. It's just a matter, can you meet the terms? And the terms are going to be with equipment financing with difficult credit. It's going to be money down. But here's the benefit, or here's the upside to that. Now, nobody wants to put a bunch of money down. I know it hurts, and I know you'd rather not. And I wish I could make it easier for you and make it not happen too, because I'd get a lot more deals approved if on the difficult credit deals that we work, money down like that wasn't required. But here is the benefit. Put it down, make the payments, business credit improves, personal credit improves, 3, 4. I mean, it's going to improve quicker than 3 or 4 years down the road. But when you need equipment again, or real estate financing, or you're going to buy a car for yourself personally, and you need that improved credit score, well, 3 years down the road when you're doing that, then everything's better because you made the payments on time. You got to take some action. If you're stuck with a difficult score, and I mean, it's got to improve, and it's not going to improve if you just let it sit there. All right, the cake won't bake itself. So take the action, get it done, make the payments on time, and you'll have a better, everything gets better. Cost of money gets cheaper down the road. So that's equipment financing. That's equipment leasing. We can provide that. Email me, paul@patriotbfc.com. Our website, patriotbfc.com. If you want to work with me, DM Gary, email me and DM Gary at the same time. And love to work with you. Let's do it.
All right, thanks for that share. Paul, I have heard a lot of habits that one would need to form, and when it comes to money. So what I've taken away is keep the cash at hand and leverage that, leverage the other financial sources, because you can more quickly liquidate cash than the asset. So that's a whole lot you would have said there. And I really trust that the listening public is taken away from what you would have said as relates to starting, growing, and scaling their business. You want to keep the cash at hand. All right. You want to leverage the other options that you have. So build healthy habits around that. Welcome, Peter. Today we're talking about habits and your personal brand, and we will give each subject matter expert a chance to look at branding from their own perspective, habits from their own perspective. I begin this program by looking at habits and personal branding. And what I want to say very quickly here is that if you are building a personal brand, but it is not helping you to self-actualize, it is a weak brand. All right. And I repeat, if you're investing your time, talent, and resources to build your personal brand, and it's not helping you and the team to self-actualize, it is a weak brand. And I will go into that as time progresses. Just to give a high-level overview today, very often we talk about personal branding, but a big question that we want to ask ourselves, is that personal branding a true reflection of the real self? You see, you can do personal branding, but then that personal branding is drawn from a concept that we call the self-image theory. So when you look at the self-image theory as it relates to your personal brand, you see 4 selves. You see the ideal self. Are you building a brand based on the ideal self? You see the self-image. Are you building that personal brand based on the self-image? Or are you building the brand based on your looking glass self? So this is a very deep subject matter that over a period of time we will go into it. I'm just giving my views here. I believe as you set out to build that personal brand, it should be based on the real self. But the challenge that we have in the world today is that the majority of people are not in touch and in tune with who is their real self, because enough is not taught about their real self. And because enough is not taught, we would have had the Abraham Maslow, who is a psychologist, a humanistic psychologist, the father of, of humanistic psychologists, who introduced some of these concepts. But because enough, again, is not taught about this, many persons attempt to build a personal brand, but divorce from that true understanding of self. This is a deep subject matter as you build your personal and your corporate brand. My role is just to highlight some of these issues, and over a period of time, we will break down these talking points so as to ensure that you, the listening audience, truly understand the depths of what it takes to build a personal brand to stand out in your market. So I just want to drop that gem for now. I want to come to Frank. Frank, we have talked briefly about habits and some of what your experience would have taught you, knowledge and experience would have taught you about habits. I would love to hear your thoughts on that subject.
Thank you,
You're
Gary.
mute. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. For businesses, our personal life, a lot of us fall into various habits, some good, some bad. But what habits do you want to embrace so that you can be better, be a greater achiever, be able to be successful? Because the thing about it, when anyone starts a business, they're not starting the business to fail, they're starting the business to succeed. And so, some habits that I have taken from a famous writer on life story is Stephen Covey. And Stephen believes that there are 7 habits of highly effective people. 7 habits of highly effective people. And these habits, he broke them down into 3 categories. The first 3 are for private victory, your personal victory. Then the next 3 are for public victory, habits that will help your customers and colleagues and team. And then there's a renewal habit, which is a 7th one. And so this morning I'll start with an overview and then discuss the habits in each category. The first one is be proactive. Being proactive is taking responsibility for your life, for your actions, and focus on what you can control rather than what you can't. Many times we run after things that we can control. So, in being proactive, look at things that you have control over, things that you can handle, things that you can manage. Begin with the end in mind. You're beginning with seeing the future. In the spiritual world, we call it being prophetic. Here is where you define your goals and your purpose in life. And you use those goals and purposes as a guide to make decisions, a guide to prioritize your actions, a guide that will help you to see what the end results would be. And then 3 for the personal victory or private victory is put things first. You need to prioritize your time and energy on things that are essential in your life, and learn to say no. Learn to say no to those things that are less important. Many times we want to be people pleasers, but it's good to say no. It will leave you with less stress. For the perfect, for the public victory, think win-win. You seek mutual benefit in all your interactions and relationships. And then you look for solutions that benefit all parties that are involved. And so, in thinking win win, you have a collaboration with a team and seeing how you can move from one state to another in a win win situation. We're not looking at lose win, win lose, but we're looking at win win situation. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is all boils down to listening. Listening. How good a listener are you? If you listen empathetically and you seek to understand others' perspective, others' point of view, before you express your own, the norm is to try to get your ideas and your thoughts and your perspective and your views out, and not first wanting to hear what others have to say. But if you try to understand the person's personal point of view, then you'll be able to express and even garner ideas to make your own thoughts better. Synergize. Synergize is working collaboratively with others in order to achieve goals and to create outcomes that are more significant than any individual could achieve alone. One cannot, for the most part, attain success by oneself. Despite how you would start, whatever it is, there's a solo person or something, you will need the help of others in some way or the other. Whether to fetching the cargo, whether to processing the cargo, whether to help building up. You'll need a bank, you'll need some financial institution. So one has got to realize that forming good relationships can cause you to have a successful end. And it's all about synergizing, collaborating, working together, cooperating with each other. And finally, the sharpen the saw. This is where you take time to renew and improve yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. In this way, you are going to have continued success. So, remembering those 7 habits of highly effective people, according to Stephen Covey, is be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize, and sharpen the saw.
All right, thanks for that. Here, Frank, I took away personal victory, public victory, and then the reflection on those wins. I have never really read Stephen Covey, but I was saying, I have to take some time out to perhaps get his perspective on, essential steps, essential habits of highly effective people. Just before I come to Peter to chime in on the topic, I do believe that essential habits for you to have in business and in life, I think that it begins with you. All right. And one of the things that I think that you really want to focus on, one of the habits that you want to have and to own and to master, is to master your sense of self. You want to master your sense of self. And what I've seen there's so many persons in the world today that are struggling and with that sense of self, because in most cases, that sense of self is defined by everything that is external. And in most cases, that where the influence is coming from, you have to always check whether it has your best interests at heart or not. And even in cases when the influence may be coming from an external source that has or have the collective best interest at heart, guess what? They don't know better. So they are socializing you to think in a way that is taking you away from mastering your true sense of self. And that brings me to the fact of what I said early on. In today's world, we do not talk self actualization. And is there a real reason behind all of that? When it is essential for the sustainability of the human species, the continuation of the human species, and also recognizing the significant role that this can play in optimizing organization performance, because now you have the human resource within the organization who understand their sense of self, sense of purpose, sense of direction, and they're now better able to apply themselves personally and in the organization to move that organization forward. But I guess many are going to say to me, well, we don't need the human resource now because we got artificial intelligence. Well, I stand on the side of humanity, not the artificial intelligence. It's not the good side of artificial intelligence, we could embrace it. But of course, I'm going to have some serious pushback on when it comes to, displacing the human element. And I'm going to be very vocal about that. Peter, all to you, my friend. We're talking now about habits and the personal branding. Perhaps you can look at it from the perspective of the master plan. How important it is to build habits around your master plan. All to you, my friend.
Indeed, Gary, and gentlemen, and welcome to those who are listening us from across the globe. Indeed, because when we look at what individual and the design for the individual as far as habits is concerned, and the personal branding, as you mentioned, a lot is to be said about who the individual is, and we're an individual in the sense of his or herself. Life was designed really not for external governments, but for internal government, for us to govern from the person of who we are, from self. It was never designed for you have another individual governing another individual. And so a lot of training, a lot of development has not been designed to understand self, as you have mentioned so many times before. And that is where the true habit is necessary, because the individual who seeks to self actualize, as you're saying, they have to learn to look. Yes, we have to look externally because we are living in a world of collaboration and interdependence. One of the words that Stephen Covey used in that book that Frank mentioned. But it also has to stem from looking within, where individuals has to spend enough time looking within so that they are able to make better sense of what is happening outside, without. And so one of the things that we individuals has to understand when they're talking about self, there is really basically nine dimensions when we're talking about self. So when I'm talking about me or my or I, what are we really talking about? Have we taken the time to define who we are talking about when we mention the me and the mine? And there's actually nine dimensions that we have to counter with, and each of these has to do with the branding, has to be represented where we're talking about the branding of self. So we have to understand that the first three dimensions has to do with that you are living in a body and how you represent yourself living in a body where individuals see you. As I look at you, I can see what you look like. How do you represent that body? And then we have to also understand that we have a spirit. There is a sense of consciousness in terms of what is right and what is wrong. There are moralities, there are codes of conduct by which we are expected to express ourselves in the world in which we live. How do we represent that? And then there is the sense of the soul, the real person, the personhood that is designed. And when we understand what even the word self is from the Greek word auto, from which we get autonomy. And the essence of that, an autonomous vehicle is a self driving vehicle. That's where we understand that self was designed to be autonomous, not to be ruled by external factors. We have to learn to be ruled from within. But what are we talking about when we're going to represent the within that we're speaking about? There is now the extra six dimensions of the person, the soul, that as we call it. And I like to name what these six dimensions are. Each of us has a mind, and within that mind you have memory, and the memory is like the data bank of the soul. You have your will, you have your emotions, your thoughts, your intellect, and your imagination. And when we can begin to navigate or understand what these six dimensions of the soul is and how we represent each, but first of all, how we're going to develop each for the representation of how we represent ourselves. When we really look at it, we will be a force to contend with. And when we understand how life is designed, how education is designed, it is not designed to really develop these portions of who the self is. And but if an individual is going to really self-actualize and represent himself, the first place they have to develop is start to building an habit of knowing himself, knowing herself. You have to spend time to know yourself. And there are practices that individuals can do to ensure that who they are, the nine components of who they are, really begin to shine.
All right, thanks for that share, Peter. You have spoken a lot of truth, but what I've seen is that the majority of the people in the world, they have a tremendous challenge to really take that time out to connect with the inner beauty. And I say that against the backdrop that for many persons in the world today, the information comes too late that they have the ability to shape their own reality. It comes too late. And it comes too late, and you see it because of the fact that now that they have some information, they're on the treadmill, the treadmill of, and they have responsibility to themselves, and they have responsibility to their offsprings. So they really can't get off of that treadmill and to say that, hey, I'm going to focus on self-actualization. I have to put the bread on the table. So there's a major problem in the world today. And I say a problem from the standpoint that we have too many smart people that really do not understand they're smart. And I am going to be vocal on this issue for the simple reason that they said that, the world is 6,000, years old. And we base this on, Christ on the earth and so forth. Well, 6,000 years is quite a long time to have. We know the world is older than that. It's quite enough time for us to have get this thing right. care and love and compassion for humanity to really help people to build the right habits to strengthen that personal brand. But it's not being done. But now we have artificial intelligence that is going to be usurping, taking over a lot of what, you know, human depend on for their sustainable livelihood. So there have to be some strong conversation around this and some pushback against that. However, I'm saying all this against the backdrop that I'm fully aware that artificial intelligence can have tremendous impact on the organization because it reduces the cost of labor, it increases productivity, it significantly enhances the profitability of the organization. But do we do this in the context of marginalizing humanity, or do we do this in a context that is more humane? And from a deeper analysis, we have to do this from a more humane standpoint because your very act to replace human in the organization is going to affect income coming into people. By extension, it's going to affect your ability to earn because the robot is not going to spend the money because they don't need to eat. Human is going to spend the money because they need to have that sustainable livelihood. So there needs to be a broader understanding of the effects of artificial intelligence on the workforce and what are the systems that are really built out to remove the insecurity that millions of people across the world are having and to put them in that comfort zone that as corporate leaders, we are responsible in how we are going about adopting artificial intelligence in the workplace. Um, Paul, can you go in a little bit more on your area? I want you to see habits and I want you to see it from the financial standpoint. Um, I mean, this can go in many different ways. Perhaps you might, but I want to hear your thoughts on habits, capital, business, people, your thoughts.
Okay. Well, I mean, right off the bat, habits such as making the payments on time affect money down. You won't have to put 30% down if only you. America's hard. The world's hard. So, and hey, I'm gonna put a disclaimer out there. I believe that there's probably, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's probably low. There's probably 3, 7, 8, 5%, maybe less than that percent of the people in the world who've had an 800 credit score from birth. Really. I mean, their parents taught them, they just made the payments on time. Everybody else has faced challenges, me included. Life's not always easy, right? There's struggles. So if you can't make them on time, you damage your credit, then rebuild. That you got
Um,
to
Paul, not cutting you. You're very, very close to accurate. We have hundreds of millions of Americans who are using credit, and we have, I think it's over 55% of the population of who is using credit. They need help in terms of mitigating um, debt. It means they don't understand it. So you're very, very much on point with what you're saying. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want anybody to feel bad. I want you to know that you can rebuild. I've been through it myself. I've had a 780 credit score. I've had a 600 credit score, and I've rebuilt. It's not easy. It's not easy, but you can do it. Okay. But habits, if you can make those habits to just make the payments on time, then that's a habit that's going to get you further ahead, save you a lot of money. That's one habit. Other habits, form your routine, call your customers. If you're feeling tired, do it. If you don't think you're feeling like you could pull it off today, do it. Make it a habit to just like forge through and do it anyways. You have to, because you got people dependent on you. If you're all by yourself and you've only got a dog, well, then your dog's dependent on you. But if you got kids and family, your family's depending on you to have those habits to wake up. If it's a job, go to work and do your best and try to advance in the job. If you have a business, an existing business, or you're starting one, then your habits are, I'd say, even more important. Because a job, you can go there and just slide through, work. Nobody's going to really pay that deep attention to you. And you're going to get paid hourly no matter what, unless you screw up so badly that you get fired. But if you have a business, your habits are deadly important. You might not eat next week if you don't make those 50 calls a day. You have to do it. So habits are your daily routine. And I don't know what more I can add, Gary. I just
Yeah,
think that
but
it's so
yeah,
important.
yeah. You're making some good points there, Paul. Just before I come to Frank, what I've recognized is, it's very easy for us to talk about the importance of habits. But what I recognize is that the average person out there, they're asking themselves, what are the best habits for me to adopt so I can get the best results out of life? And I think that many persons have a struggle with that. I just want to chime in something else based on what you said. On time payment is very, very good. But it's important to recognize that from the time you start to do on time payment, something else kicks in. All right. You have immediately what you call an outstanding balance. With an outstanding balance, APR is applied to that outstanding balance immediately. So you have interest accumulation that is taking place just by making the minimum balance due on that payment. There are smarter ways in which you can do it, but I would not go into that lecture today. I want to encourage you to go to some of my videos and find my content on credit management. But Paul made a very, very important point there. Our mom and most of us, we learn from the mom and the dad in the school system. And in most cases, it didn't give us the complete story. And because you didn't get the complete story, for most people, for millions of people, you were left in limbo. I do the study in the US and I see millions of highly educated people with first degree and second degree that are using credit that are at a compromise at this particular stage. They have derogatories. All right, but we'll go into that at another day. But the points that you made, Paul, habits, it begins with on-time payment. Just do the on-time payment to start with. And once you're doing those on-time payments, you don't have late fees, you don't have derogatories, and you can bill from there. But love it, Paul.
Can I add one more thing real quick?
Go ahead.
And make it a habit not to make crazy decisions. Because I've made some crazy decisions. They sound good at the moment. Make it a habit to ask people who you trust and who want the best for you. Make it a habit to ask a second opinions. That's a good idea to do. So
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Get the right mentor, get the right coach, get the right support community behind you that can definitely point you in the right direction. I love that, Paul. Making tough decision and life decision, depending on where you are in your life, you don't have to make it on your own. It makes more sense if you have, professionals around you that have the knowledge and the experience and have the willingness to share with you to accelerate your path towards success, to interface with them. So that's a very good habit. Love it. Frank.
Yes, sir. Habits that you choose will determine success. And I remember Covey's declaration says, the true success is more than just achieving wealth or fame. Instead, it necessitates personal growth and fulfillment. And he supported his claim by discussing traditionally successful individuals who struggle with personal effectiveness and relationship health despite their material wealth and accolades. Principles for that we have can become habitual. And one of the principles I look at is integrity. How integrity are you in your business dealings? Another principle is courage. Are you bold enough to face the challenges, the daily challenges, and what habits can you inculcate to give you that boldness to face the daily challenges of the business? Of course, you cannot have all the courage and integrity without having patience, without having persistence. And through it all, humility has to shine through. It's very difficult to face any proud and arrogant business person. It hurts me. So, humility is what mostly draws people to you. In your humility, you will show empathy. You must have empathy, must be empathetic, must think of the others, put others before yourselves. Sometimes, a lot of times. And of course, in all this, how do you collaborate? How do you cooperate? How do you synergize with your fellow men, with your fellow teammates, with your colleagues? And through all of that, continuous learning is a necessity. We never
Mhm.
stop learning once we're living. You have to learn. To be innovative, you have to be learning. To be
Yeah,
creative, you have to continually learn. So
I
that's my
agree with you, Frank. Um, but I want to throw a couple of things out there because I think it's one thing for us to discuss habits, and I think it's different for us to discuss habits and measurable outcome. All right, and I think what people need is the measurable outcome, and once they're guaranteed that these habits is going to give me this outcome, uh, is what I think the greatest motivator lies for them. But I think sometimes, very often, we can, or sometimes you have an author who writes about a particular subject, and very often when you apply it, you don't get the results that you want. You don't get the end results. So that brings me back to another concept that I want to talk about: habits and data. Habits and data. I do believe that everyone, exception of none, you want to build habits around data, particularly so when you want to be successful in business. And I want to go into some measurable outcome here as it relates to habits. Like when we did the research, we see that in the US alone, we have 2.2 million self published authors annually. That number has increased over the recent years. What we've also seen is that $1.25 billion is generated from self published books. But guess what else we see based on data? When you ask yourself how much of these authors are successful authors, how many of them make money from what they're doing? What data is showing, surprisingly, you have 2.2 million self published authors yearly. Guess how much of them make money? About 40, just 40. 40, not 40%, 40. We have about, you laugh it, you have about 90 percent of self-published authors that earns about $500 annually from their work. All right. And when we do the analysis, we saw the reasons why. You are an author, but you are not the best person, and you're self-published too. So you don't have the machinery for public relation, marketing, branding, all of that behind you. You don't have it. So that alone set the stage for you to fail. So this is how habits, data can help you to get what we call the end results. So here is where we have over 1 million authors that is published annually that needs an outlet to become best-selling authors. They need an outlet to monetize. And here is one of the reasons why we have developed the bestseller portal. All right. And we are now going out there to connect with these authors from around the world because we know their measurable results is visibility, is reach, is impact, is cash flow optimization. So habits around building your business model based on data is very, very, very important. All right. So I just want to add that part. Habits around data. You can build your personal or your corporate brand around data. I know Peter's laughing because it's doing that research, getting into that deep dive. It's so much of an aha moment. Go ahead. You're mute.
Yeah, this is why you and I were having this conversation about the practicality of what being an author is. Some people just write. They're not really. They're just writing. You understand what I'm saying? They're not. They do not. They have not developed the system. They have not really designed and
There's an entire ecosystem behind becoming a best-selling author, monetizing that process. And you're right. They're just write.
Yeah, they're just writers. And
it's not that what they're writing is not good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but where's the data? And do they know exactly their ideal client? Do they understand their market size? Do they know how to position their value offer in front of that target market? They don't have the skill set.
So what it is, I don't think I can use a term. There's one of my mentors that my marketing mentors, he said that a lot of people have brain gas. They have brain gas. They get from the brain and they write. They think that because they gas from the brain, they need to put that thought on paper when they have not really taken the time to understand that there has to be a mission, for us, to really, for an individual to really goes into self-actualization again, because everything comes again to understand that every individual was designed for a purpose. And even if an individual does not discover what that purpose is, the purpose still exists. Every individual, and we're talking about habits and self and personal branding. The person that is in the.
It ties into what you're saying, self-discovery. I mean, I think that personal brand should be based on understanding your true self.
Exactly.
But they have many persons that they are building that personal brand, and it has absolutely nothing to do with understanding the real self. It's just a perception of self.
Exactly. Because
that's a perception of self.
When they begin to the three concepts of mission, mandate, and message. Mission, mandate. So that's the habit that we want to build. Build a habit around your mission, your mandate, and your message. So your mission is what you were designed or what you are assigned to do. So understanding self and understanding what you represent, understanding who you are, understanding your purposehood, the reason why you exist, and you're so focused on discovering what that is. You make a habit of discovering and researching what that mission is. And you are exhausting all the data, as you mentioned, Gary. Individuals are exhausting all the data that is surrounding that mission. They're getting to know that, man. They make a habit of knowing what their mission is. and how then to make their mission into a mandate. So it's not enough just to know what the mission is, but you're going to, there are some things in carrying out the mission, there are some things that we have to do. That's your mandate. In order to do the mission, here are the three things that you have, the tip, we call it the tip of the spear. That if you just concentrate on the tip of the spear in carrying out this mission, everything else move forward. So you focus then on the mandate, and then comes the message, because there are certain things that you have to say just by designing the mission and understanding the mandate. Then there are certain things that you have to say. So you make a mission on refining the message. How do you say these things in a better way so that it can be more cohesive for those who are be more concise? How do you tweet what you say in such a way? And that comes out in your copy, that comes out in all your written documents and your verbal communication as you express your mission and your mandate. And these are the habits. When we focus on these things and we keep on working on our mission, our mandate, and our message, what happened, Gary? After a time, there's nobody else like you, because we're not designed to be copies of anybody else. We're designed to be autonomous and to be the best person that we were designed to be. And as we keep on doing that, as we make a habits around that, then guess what? Tomorrow, every day is different. Tomorrow we're constantly, and I think Frank mentioned about I missed what Frank said a while ago in the middle of my thought. But
But
practice
yeah,
in practicing self, what is going to happen? We're always, yes, he speak about continuous education. That's the term. When we're into continuous education, when we're always giving ourselves the ammunition that is necessary for us to be the best person that we're called. And it is when we are the best person that we're called to be, we also understand that we're not designed, self is not designed for self. Self is not designed to serve self. But Stephen Covey talks about interdependence, where we understand that when we join a collective, each of us is better when we are serving the collective. So self is designed to serve, but the only way I can serve other is by improving myself, improving ourselves continually.
good. I do believe a lot of solid points was made. I do believe that what I took away from what you're saying is that you have to be purpose driven, and the big question is, how do you build a purpose driven life? The big question is habits. How does habits translate into a purpose driven life? And that comes back to understanding that from the time you talk about purpose, your purpose is not necessarily to serve machine. Your purpose is to serve humanity. And I think that you can be a doctor and serve humanity. You could be a financial specialist and serve humanity. You can be an accountant and serve humanity. I do believe that is that human element that you put into it that really helps in self-fulfillment. I think at the end of the day, it's about building the higher habits. Frank, I'm coming to you. That really helps you to feel self-fulfilled. And I can talk about this, because sometimes you feel that academics is what's going to help you to feel fulfilled. Well, I have attained so much of academics, and I could recall when I did project management, I thought that, hey, having that piece of paper, I would have felt complete. I felt empty.
Mm-hmm.
I felt empty. But the relationship that I have with the creator helped me to understand something different. You got to flow from purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You got to connect with people. You got to empower people. And that's the highest level of service that anyone can provide. So I think forming habits around treating human beings well, uplifting humanity, I think that the essence of life lies right there. the essence of life lies right there. All right, I'm gonna come to Frank, and then I'm gonna come back to Paul, and then we're gonna start to wrap up today's program to get your last response. Frank, all to you.
Thank you. What I want to focus in on, and it's coming from what Peter was saying about yourself. You can't do things alone, and that's where Covey speaks about synergize, and the synergize habit emphasize the power of collaboration and encourage us to look for opportunities work together to create outcomes that are greater than the sum of their parts. The key to synergy and collaboration is valuing people's differences and seeking ways to combine the strengths to reach more significant outcomes than one could achieve alone. Um, there are varying differences that were outlined by Covey. He was saying that we need to value differences and recognize and appreciate each other's unique abilities, each other's experiences, each other's viewpoints or perspectives. So you seek to combine people's different strengths in order to achieve collaborative efforts or success.
Um, Frank, Frank,
Mhm.
I'm not cutting you, Frank, right? But I love what you're saying. But I do believe that as we look at human differences, and this is not about you, this is about the author. I haven't read the book. It's important to also recognize that not every contribution um, may be an asset to the ecosystem because it might be a polluted one. All right, so I just want to make that point. So I think that synergy is important, collaboration is important, but it must be collaboration for a common end results. And we cannot discount that even in collaboration, you need to have the right human resources to help move that process forward. Anything less, you may have to spend time to train and develop and acclimatize. I haven't read the books, so I can't speak from it from the standpoint that you're speaking it from, but I've just seen some gaps as you articulate yourself around that book. Go right ahead, my friend.
Good. And your point is well taken because you'll always have those who are going to bring something negative to the table.
Yes.
However,
Yeah.
that's where, as you know, SWOT analysis will come in. Strengths,
Yeah.
weaknesses, opportunities. But the thing about it is we still need to listen to understand. And we
You're
must
right.
empathetically listen to understand and value other differences. You listen to understand, not to basically respond. In other words, you be open to feedback. We must welcome feedback from others without it involving our ego. Ego sometimes, I don't want to get into that. But you use the feedback to improve your ideas and actions. You got to build a relationship with trust and respect on your own. Because trust and respect are essential for achieving the synergistic.
Frank, I'm laughing over here, right?
I understand. I hear you. I know the experience. But
Good, because sometimes you even got to interface with the enemy, and make it part of the experience pool, right?
exactly, exactly. And the thing about it is that, trust me, sometimes the enemy can teach you a thing or two. And so,
Believe me.
you know, there's a saying that's keep your friends close, but keep your enemy closer.
So,
Because the thing about it,
um,
despite they may be enemies, they have some things in them that you can use,
yeah,
right? So you need
um,
something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Great share. Um, and I want us to do this disclaimer, while we are here and we are articulating the importance of networking and collaboration, we are not ignorant of the fact that you have to be selective you have to do that due diligence of who you're bringing into your quality circle to help move that vision forward. Because the very vision that you're going after, perhaps you might have elements within that are trying to undermine that. So of course you need to have the habit of discernment, and Peter will talk more about that because that's biblical. All right. But great share. So I want to come now to you guys to have you guys talk to us a bit about our wrapping up. But Paul, just before we get to wrap up, I'm going to come to Peter to start the wrap up round. Anything that you want to share based on all that we would have said before we come to wrap up?
Yeah,
Paul?
it's oh,
All right, go ahead. No. Just off Peter. Paul.
Wow. I don't know if I can add to what everybody here has really like pulled it together. I think we've hit the 100% mark on habits. So I don't know what I could add other than they're important. Make it a habit to listen to the show, get all this good info, make that a habit. And
All right.
that's all I got to add today.
All right. Thanks for that sharing, Paul. Peter, your thoughts or your closing remarks?
well, what we want to leave with our client, well, our listeners rather, or listeners today, the importance of understanding their number one asset. Your number one asset is yourself. No matter what happens around you, if you lose yourself, you lose everything else. So they have to make a habit of investing in themselves, investing in the development of self. And we go back, the essence of self in Greek culture has to, it goes, they speak about the self in the sense of psychology. And you know, Gary, you opened the conversation earlier about the various elements of the
The self-image theory.
right, the self-image theory. And so we want individuals to understand that taking care, what does it mean to take care of yourself? And I mentioned that there are 9 dimensions. If you're really going to take care of yourself, there is 9 dimension of self-care. But most people make a habit of taking care of maybe 1 or 2. Maybe most people just focus on just the body, the outer shell, the case, the case that holds the self. And they spend so much investment in taking care of the least portion of what the self is all about, making itself look good when it may not be good at the very core. But if we dig deep and develop who the self is, the core, the shell is going to shine even more. So we want to empower individuals today to discover. The saying is know thyself. And there is 9 dimensions. If you're really going to take care of yourself, there is 9 dimensions that are necessary. Know that, know what those 9 dimensions are, and take time out and develop each. Make a habit of taking care of each on a routine basis. Know that you will be unmatchable. No AI will be able to outplace you, because you are so developed that you will now begin to become the commander of AI. You will know what to do with AI. Any technology that come in the marketplace, you will know how to interface with it and use it to advance the mission and the purpose that you were designed to do.
All right, thanks for that share, Peter. Perhaps as time progresses, we'll do a program on AI and the future of humanity. I believe in humanity. I believe that we are exceptional and irreplaceable, and but we'll have a conversation on that as time progresses. Acknowledging the fact that we are unique and irreplaceable, it doesn't exclude the fact that we have to be, as a collective, exposed to the truth of who we are, the rich potential that we have to attain greatness, and redefine the world. The other point that I want to make here is that, you know, they said the world is at its peak point. It's the most civilized era that we're in. But of course, when we look at historical data, that's a complete lie. All right. I see Paul want to get wrapped up here. It's a complete lie. But we're going to bring some of those facts as time progress, later on. Let me come down to Frank for his closing remarks, and then I'm going to come to Paul, and of course, he's going to chime in on his belief, right? Frank, on to you.
All right, thanks. I just want to close off by giving uh, two key lessons and synergies and the way you can deal with people. The first one is make a list of people who irritate you. You've got a lot of them. How are their views different? Put yourself in their shoes. Imagine how it feels to be there. And so the next time you disagree with one of those people, try to understand their concern, why they disagree. Because the better you can understand them, the easier it will be to change their mind or yours. And the second key lesson is make a list of people with whom you get along with. How are their views different? Because when we get along with them, they will have different views. Then you write them a situation where you had an excellent teamwork and synergy, and why this was so. What conditions were met to reach the synergy, and how can you recreate those conditions again? Talking about synergizing, meeting, collaborating. So that's my key lesson for today.
All right. Thanks for that share, Frank. What I take away, Frank, is that together you can go far, but with a collective you can go further. Alone you can reach the top of the mountain, but guess what? Once one reach the top of the mountain, it might take them 5 hours. The rest can reach the mountain in less than an hour because before one is up, he can throw that rope down and it can make it easier for everyone else to come up. And that's what collaboration looks like. So I love that concept. Paul, tell me why you believe that this is not the most civilized period that we are in, and your closing remarks.
Oh, it's just not. It's savage out there. It's savage. People don't like each other. I mean,
Oh man!
I still believe there's good. I know that. We're in end
Uh-huh.
times. We're in end
I
times.
thought I
We're
thought
all
you were going to tell me about the pyramid that they can't recreate the pyramid after now. But I'm listening to you. Go ahead. You're right. It's a savage world.
yeah. Without going into detail because it'd take too long. We're
I
in end.
know. I know.
We're
I
Christians.
know.
We're in end times. So I don't. I think this is one of the most difficult times. In spite of that, we still got good people all around us. You just got to find them. They're out there, and people are willing to help you. We're willing to help. I'm willing to help for free in some cases. I like getting paid, right? But I'm still willing to give free, friendly advice. And so are you guys. So we're all willing to help people. And really, I guess that is my final opinion.
All
That's
right.
it.
Can you talk to us a bit about some financial instruments because we know that you're going to help them to access capital. Can you talk to us a bit about that and then point them to where they can get our help?
Yeah. Uh, let's talk about real estate financing, investment property, and commercial property. Uh, good credit. The best of credit gets the best, lowest cost of money, best deal structure, best term, and difficult credit deals can get approved. So there's a lot to go into detail on that, but I guess that would sum it up well enough that real estate financing is available. And let me put this out there. We do it better than the bank. Don't think your local bank that you've been with for 30 years is your best friend. They're just an entity. They're a business entity. And the guy gets paid, your loan officer gets paid hourly. And you might say, well, why would I want to work with somebody who gets paid by commission? Well, because that person's going to work harder for you because he doesn't eat if he doesn't close a deal. So he's going to make it better. That's me. I'm going to make it better. I don't get paid hourly, and I'm going to do everything to make it better for you. The guy at the bank, your loan officer who you've been working with for maybe 10, 15, 20 years, I think he cares about you. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he cares. But if he can't get your deal done, he still gets paid. If I can't get your deal done, I'm more sad than he is. And I'll find a way to get it done. That's
So
the
you're
truth.
more motivated. You
Much
got
more motivated, much more motivated, and more motivated to form a long-term relationship with you. I don't want to do a transaction with you and forget about you, and I don't want you to forget about me. So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to make the best impression. I'm going to present the best product available for you. And your bank, under some circumstances, can't get the deal done. Uh, you might be tapped out with resources at your bank. Okay. Your bank might have you maxed out. We've got programs that will solve that problem. Your bank might not like certain types of properties, cannabis properties, industrial hemp fiber. We have lenders who have no problem with that. So if you're in the cannabis business, Paul, let's work together. All right. We can get it done for you. We're better than the bank, and I'll prove it to you. So Paul at patriotvfc.com. Email me, DM Gary. DM Gary, email me at the same time, so we're both working with you. And check out my website, patriotvfc.com, and let's work together. We're ready to start working for you right now, which at 7:30. I'll see you at 9:30 today.
I like that. All right, folks, there you had it. Um, we are we consider ourselves humanitarian and we care about the human race. We may not say things that is the most popular thing, but we say the things that is truth in terms of advancing human resource development. And along with looking at some of the challenges in the world, we always come to you with a solution. This is not, we don't get you stuck in the problem zone, we get you unstuck. And one of the things that we want to get you unstuck with is access to capital. So you may have a vision, to become a real estate investor. Why leave it on your vision board when you have a team of people here that's going to talk to you how to actualize what you have on the vision board? Last week, myself and Paul, we had a pretty good conversation on group economics because we recognize that many single individuals, they are not able to raise the much needed capital to go after their dreams and their hopes and their aspirations. On that program, we outline what group economics is. You can't do it alone. Get mommy, daddy, uncle, and aunt. If you don't have mommy, daddy, uncle, and aunt, form a community. Frank was just talking about collaboration and network, but collaborate with strategic objective in mind. Collaborate to build wealth. Collaborate to break the cycle of poverty. Collaborate to empower yourself to become the greatest person you can possibly be. All right, you don't have to collaborate on trivialities. You can collaborate to make great things happen. So in this community, we're going to provide you with that kind of platform that's going to push you forward and ensure that you optimize your level of success. Frank, I see you invited to say something here, right? Let me get you the last word, buddy. I see you biting your lip. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we still need to sharpen ourselves. It means
Yeah,
owning your personal development. And it's got to be done through deliberate action, which will renew and recharge um, the energy. And the end result is a happy, holistic, healthy, and effective individual. And that's what you need at the end of the day. Peter has said it right. Yourself. You have to be relearning yourself. You have to be reteaching yourself. There's never a time in this living life that you will know everything. And daily, there are new creations. Daily, there are new innovations. And so one has got to continually sharpen the tools.
sharp. Keep the act sharp. Love it. So there you had it, audience. Keep the act sharp. And that reminded me of a story. I'm going to tell it. One of the founding presidents of the United States of America, he asked the question: if you have to cut a tree down and you have a few minutes, let us say an hour to get it done, but you have two dull acts, two persons is competing. The one person one-on-one, he just start chopping that tree down, but the axe is dull. What do you think the other person did? They spend 4 to 5 minutes sharpening the axe, and the next 5 minutes to cut that tree down. And 5 hours later, the one with the dull axe didn't cut the tree down. So I love that, Frank. Make sure your axe is sharp. Better yet, what if you are to socialize yourself with people that have many, many sharp axes? Paul is going to, help you to be sharp with access to capital. Frank is going to help you to be, sharp with leadership. Peter is going to help you to be sharp with your master plan. And you have all the sharp people around you to help you make smart, better business decision, life decision. So do reach out to us. We're here to provide support to you. And we are excited to provide service to you, my friend. All right, so do reach out. Remember to like, subscribe, and share so you'll be the first to get these programs that we're bringing to you on a regular basis. With that being said, I want to say have a good Tuesday and a great week ahead of you. See you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we talk about money.